What's up, traders? So a bit of a weird open today. Our lead gapper, XTNT, totally just, started getting halted, freezing on the way up, and then eventually, boom, almost a 50% crash. That was very, very wicked. And a lot of times why I'm not trading these stocks, getting halted left and right. Sometimes you get lucky and you enter a stock like PHUN and it gets halted 7 times going up. And that was ridiculous. That thing was up, what, 300, 400% yesterday? Or you get stuck in something like XTNT, which halts, I think, twice, and the halts were very long, very confusing, and then boom, one giant or 2 big halts to the downside. So they're very tricky, they're hard to get in, they're hard to get out, and to me, it's a bit like the ultimate coin toss. And I gotta say, my trading the last month has been a bit of a coin toss itself, but at least I can learn from it, I can improve, and I know what I'm doing wrong, I know what I'm doing right, and I can kind of keep on building that way. So today I had 3 green theses, so 3 trades that could have been green. 2 were green, 1 was red, which was a bit unfortunate because the red trade could have been actually a huge one. I got kind of faked out, chopped out a little bit, which was really, really annoying because this was a big potential winner. And I want to talk about how I got faked out and 2 ways, 2 very specific ways I want to avoid it in the future. So that's going to be the main focus of this video. I think in the recap video, it's the second one, second stock we talk about. So first we're going to talk about XTNT, and then I'm going to dive right into SNCA because that was the one that kind of shook me out. So remember, guys, if you're learning and you're enjoying this content, don't forget to leave a like. If you're totally new here, we go live every morning at 9:15 a.m. to first review the watch list and then trade the market open. I would love to see you there, so definitely consider subscribing. We have a really awesome community in the chat room. Let's dive into the charts now and talk about the new way I will be handling stocks breaking out past 10:30. All right, ladies, let's begin this trading recap. Man, oh man. XTNT, talk about FOMO Momo, wanting to potentially get back in on this at $2. And then maybe break above VWAP. Let's see what happens by the end of this recap video. Let's see if it breaks above XTNT. And by the way, I did not trade XTNT, but it was kind of the lead gapper on the day. A lot of people were looking at it, forming a bit of a rounded bottom here, which is actually quite a bullish sign. I would not look at these buyers coming in here. I mean, this could break to the upside. I don't know. I think there's a lot of nervous people on XTNT. A little bit of volume here, not a lot of buying volume. I think overall, I mean, this halt to the downside was just so aggressive, 45%. And this thing's just been halting all day. I mean, it was really, really tough to trade. It was just halt central, and these halts lasted for a very long time. Just a little quick recap here, just in case, I don't know when you guys are watching this, but, pre-market, this thing was up 300%, a little over 300%, 12 million float, US medical device company. They had the most kind of awkward catalyst, which at first I didn't really think it was that big, but when I noticed that the stock was over 300%, then, okay, well, there's got to be something to this catalyst. Basically, the only thing that came out today was that Orbi Med Advisors reports a 77.7 stake in this company. And at first I was like, okay, well, just because someone has a big stake in the company, it might not mean that much, but Orbi, I didn't look into it, but if they are maybe more accredited firm or investors or whatever they do, and people follow that advice, it could be quite good. But I usually don't look into the catalyst too much because the chart usually tells you everything that you need to know to some extent. I mean, it is good reading through some catalysts and getting, a feel for which catalysts are better on average, some deals, some collaborations, new offering in terms of services or earnings, which catalysts are the best. So it is kind of good to kind of look into that. And I found that deals, for example, collaborations with other companies are quite good catalysts, especially earnings are good catalysts. Contract winners with large companies or the government are really good catalysts. So things like that. But it's good to look into it, but just know, don't become obsessed about the catalyst. XTNT, man, let's see what happens. Could break here. What I traded today was what did we trade today? Let's quickly look. So we ended the day kind of a small day, but I used tiny position sizes today, kind of a decent amount of leftover cash.
Each of my trade, I think my average position size was like either 900 or 850 or something like that. So pretty small. We made basically 5% based on our average position size. So it wasn't really a bad day. It just wasn't really a great day. And I'll really tell you why. Because all three of my trades were right thesis-wise. Like they all could have been winners. But on the second trade, I got chopped out, took a small loss. That basically my third trade recovered. So it was kind of a little bit annoying. So let's go to, let's just go to SNCA, which popped up on the scanner a little bit late. And I wasn't really super stoked on SNCA because it was it didn't have a catalyst. Or 2 days ago, it had decent earnings, but the float was nice. It was the SNCA. Here we go, 9.4 million shares outstanding. So the float, is even smaller. Big resistance here at 2. Wowie. Talk about holding this one a little bit longer. Would have been really, really nice. 33% run to the upside. But to me, this was on the backside of the move. It could have got rejected here on the 15-minute EMA, and then it could have kept on selling off. So this is a whole different kind of strategy. I do want to kind of talk about, though, how I could have made this trade better. So I have basically two ideas how to avoid these kind of situations where I don't sell too early, not necessarily because this was a loss, so I took cut my losses too early, but basically how can I maximize the upside a little bit? And there's two things I'm thinking about. One, and this is for only after 10:30, because after 10:30 is where I constantly make these mistakes. And before 10:30, these moves tend to happen much quicker. So, pull back here, and then all of a sudden, boom, big breakout. So, either it breaks out or it doesn't, right? It's pretty clear. But here, breakout, pull back, breakout, pull back. It's a little bit choppier. It's very choppy in this move. So knowing that it's going to be choppy, I'm either very obviously going to wait for a clear break and then buy on a retest. So that would be around 159 or something like that. That would have landed me about 13% profits if I did a perfect trade here. I don't think I would have held through this pullback, but basically I would have entered here or here. And then 1, 2, 3 minutes, I would be up 13% if I, waited till 1.8, which I probably would have not done. But, with a 13% move, if we even got half of that, right, that would have been around 6.5%. So that's quite nice. And the other way is, so I was watching this triangle, this descending triangle, which is oftentimes a continuation pattern. It could also be a reversal pattern. But in my eyes, I thought this was a pretty hot stock. I mean, it was one of our top movers on the day. So I was like, okay, this is kind of interesting. I'm going to definitely be a little bit more probably aggressive here if this thing starts breaking higher. I think a lot of people are waiting for a move like this. And that's exactly what we got when we... So we broke here higher, and I was looking at a different stock at the time. Then I noticed SNCA is making some really nice moves. I got to go back to this one. It was sometime after this 1 minute candle was printed. And then we had a nice little pullback here. I was like, boom, I got the pullback at 157. And guess what? I was waiting for a move like this. I was waiting for that continuation. And then I got chopped out here on this pullback because breakout or get out, right? This was about a 4% candle pullback to the downside, which was not fun, but it didn't have a lot of volume, so I should have not paid so much attention to it. If we broke this candle, so if we broke 1.5, I should have just put my stop there. It would have been a little bit more, I would have, took a bigger loss, but at the same time, I would have kind of risked 5% to make a potential break from this area. And we have a shoulder here at 1.8. So, to basically risking 5% to make 15%. That's a pretty good 1-to-3 ratio. So taking that trade, 10 times, even if you're right only 50% of the time, you're still going to be profitable. So that's a little bit how I want to trade this one. Either buying the clear breakout here and buying the pullback as long as the volume is looking good, or buying the dips rather. So either getting early in here, which is tough because you can, it'll play mind games with you, guaranteed, especially with me. Or, waiting, oftentimes after 10:30, the first breakout doesn't work. So this one didn't work. Waiting for the pullback. This break didn't work. And then, buying maybe either the dip here at 153 with a stop at 150. Kind of like I said before, and then just waiting for this thing to break higher. And if it breaks under 150, boom, whatever, you get out. That's just trading. You're not right all the time. So that's how I want to be trading this one. Either buying the clear breakout on the pullback, or even into the breakout, or buying kind of these dips with a very, very tight stop instead of buying the breakout with a looser stop. So basically, not necessarily buying this breakout right here, but waiting for that dip to happen and, being like, just buying the dip, just being like, boom, we had the dip. We're trending to the upside now. We're basically buying dips on the way to the upside. That's what this one would have been, with understanding that if this trend breaks, so we break the 15-minute EMA with volume, then I'm going to get out at 150. So I hope that makes sense. That's how I want to trade these a little bit more in the future. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. But leave any questions and comments below if you guys still have some questions. The next trade, actually that's not true. CLSK, this was actually the first trade we made, and CLSK was one of the lead stocks on the day, but if you guys remember, I was not excited about CLSK. It was only gapping up 55%, 8 million float, which is nice, US software and infrastructure company, but the catalyst was so ridiculous. I thought it was ridiculous. Here we go. Oh, where's this catalyst? Catalyst. Basically, I'll just pretty much, here it is. In a nutshell, the company got $500,000 from the Corona CARES Act loan. I don't know. Is that really that great? It's a loan. It shows that the company is kind of struggling. I don't know. I didn't think it was enough to make the company go up 55%. I mean, hello, like what? So I knew that this thing might be a little bit overextended. It also wasn't really up that much. It clearly wasn't the lead gapper, but with resistance here above it it had a little bit of room to run. Whoa, where did I just go? Where are the charts? Where are the candles? So it had some room to run till I think 3.5. So I think knowing the fact that, here's a bit of resistance at 3.5 and we're only pre-market, where were we? At about $3, I was like, okay, well, there is a good chance that it's going to have a nice little gap and go. And that's what we had. We had a nice little run up here, 6-7%. I missed this move, but then it very violently sold off. And I was like, well, maybe we're going to have a little double bottom here, even triple bottom. I'm going to front run that a little bit because the market open is always very aggressive. You usually don't get those full moves to the downside. There's dip buyers galore. So that was kind of me. I was a dip buyer galore, had a near perfect entry, was waiting for a break back above VWAP, didn't get that, and then I just closed this position. So it was a very short-lived position, but I felt like it was a fairly calculated position, and it was kind of a classic gap and go, failed breakout, pullback setup. So I'm pretty happy about this one. Nothing really to run home about, but it was kind of a nice way to start the day with like a little trade here. Just kind of put this in perspective here. I bought it at the 86, so $840. So that's kind of what I'm saying. Like I used very small position size on my first trade, and then kind of overall, like today I just used tiny position size. I was kind of tired getting kind of in these tight positions and getting, I don't know, stopped out and like, I don't know, having like too much FOMO on my trades or whatever. But yeah, CLSK kind of having a nice little dip off the bottom, a little bit of volume coming in there. Maybe we'll find some support. I mean, 2.4 multi-month support and resistance. So always a good place to buy those dips, especially buying them when, you break these lows and there's not a lot of selling volume. So interesting stuff here. I don't know. I'm not going to be trading CLSK. I almost out of the bag or out of the gates, I knew that CLSK was not going to be a hot performer. Would have actually been a great short candidate. But at the same time, with such a low float, you don't want to get stuck in one of these things shorting. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm trying to think, is there anything else? I don't know. There's several stocks that we were looking to trade today, but a lot of halts. It was kind of a tricky open. The market open was pretty tricky. I did one little swing trade here on my IRA account with SURF. This was kind of interesting. I don't swing trade often, and I definitely don't swing trade in our challenge account, the Gap and Go challenge account. But SURF was holding its highs pretty decently. So I decided to kind of do this one as an overnight. And then I kind of got out here before the big resistance zone. So I definitely sold too soon. Left about 30% on the table, but this was kind of a sweet little trade. Again, use small position size, but just like a little bounce trade, so kind of sweet. So if any of you guys, the reason I'm kind of pointing this one out is because a lot of you guys are asking like, Alex, why don't you swing trade? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And I do several things, not like everything you guys say. Like for example, I don't trade options, but this challenge account is very specific. I've been kind of more of a swing trader, a dip buyer, a support line bounce, reversal buyer. That's kind of my bread and butter for the last couple of years. That's what I'm good at. I have a pretty good win ratio with that, and that's kind of what pays the bills. And now I'm taking on a second strategy. So this gap and go momentum morning strategy is a second strategy. I'm not trying to mix up the two, because every time I do, I kind of go down this rabbit hole, and it's very unproductive. So again, I'm trying to get very aggressive in the morning, so like the first 30 minutes, and then honestly after 10:30, I try, if I have leftover trades, I'm still getting aggressive, and that's where I'm making a lot of mistakes. So it's kind of this knowing when to mentally pivot. I need to like mentally be like, okay, the gap and go is more or less done. Sometimes you can get some beautiful runs, but I'm typically done trading by 11. So I hope that answers maybe some questions about, Alex, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? Most likely I have done it, or I've tried it. And I really want to be focusing on a very small amount of things, because that allows me to really put my maximum amount of energy on making sure that I learn it properly. So, I mean, it took me years to master one strategy. And now I'm just for the first time, for the first few months, taking on a second strategy. And I think these strategies are very nice to pair together, because one is a bit more swing tradey, long-termy, and the other one is, 2 hours a day. You can do the strategy and you're basically done with it. You could even do it for 30, 45 minutes. So that I hope makes sense. If it doesn't, leave a comment below. And yeah, guys, I'll wrap up here. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoy the content. Subscribe if you're new here. I'd love to see you again. Remember, 9:15 we go live every morning to first review the watch list, and then at 9:30 we're trading that market open. So guys, I will see you there. Until next time, stay safe and make some awesome trades. Ciao, ciao.